Welcome to Morganable, where we serve you with authentic news, stories, documentaries, updates, and magazine-style insights on our society and the larger world. And more importantly, about places that fall under the radar of the mainstream media machinery. We invite you to embark on this exciting journey of enlightenment with us. Morganable, your vehicle of enlightenment.
Robert Francis Prevost was born on September 14, 1955 in Chicago, Illinois, United States, into a David Catholic family deeply rooted in multicultural values. His father, Louis Marius Prevost, was of French and Italian descent, and his mother, Mildred Martinez, was a Spanish immigrant from Madrid. This blend of European heritage shaped Robert's worldview from an early age, imbuing him with an appreciation for languages, diverse cultures, and a profound sense of spirituality. The Prevost household was modest yet rich in values. Robert was the third of 5 children, and he often credited his parents for nurturing him with moral compass and a keen sense of discipline. His mother, a devout Catholic with a gentle temperament, introduced him to daily prayers and mysteries of the Rosary. His father, a steel worker and union supporter, instilled in him a work ethic that he carried into his priesthood and later into the papacy. From a young age, Robert exhibited a deep curiosity about the Christian faith. At just 12 years old, he began considering the priesthood seriously. He served as an altar boy at St. Clare of Montefalco Parish in Chicago, where he was mentored by the Augustinian priest who ran the parish. These early encounters with the Order of St. Augustine OSA would leave an indelible mark on his life. Robert's intellectual brilliance matched his spiritual depth. After excelling in his early education, he enrolled in the minor seminary of the Augustinian Fathers in the US, where he began his formal formation toward religious life. There, he developed a love for philosophy and mathematics, two fields that reflected his analytical mind and structured thinking. Upon completing his seminary studies, he attended Villanova University, a Catholic institution founded by Augustinians in Pennsylvania. At Villanova, he earned a bachelor's degree in mathematics and philosophy in 1977. His time at Villanova was transformative. Not only did he deepen his understanding of faith, reason, and status, but he also began to engage in campus ministry, mentoring younger students and tutoring others in mathematics. In the same year, 1977, at the age of 22, Robert took a major step in his spiritual journey by joining the Order of St. Augustine. He entered the Navitates, where he started the rule of St. Augustine, practiced communal life, and continued to discern his vocation. 4 years later, in 1981, he made his solemn profession of vows, publicly committing himself to a lifetime of service in the Augustinian way of life. The following year, on June 1982, Robert was ordained a priest in the Augustinian order. The ordination ceremony was held at St. Rita of Cassia Shrine Chapel in Chicago, a historic church known for its outreach to immigrants and the poor. Family, friends, and fellow seminarians gathered to witness his ordination. Father Robert Prevost's early years in the priesthood were spent teaching and providing pastoral care. However, even as a young priest, he was known for his leadership abilities, cultural sensitivity, and spiritual insight. These qualities would soon draw the attention of church leaders and send him on a missionary path that would take him far beyond his native Chicago to the slums, highlands, and seminaries of Peru, and eventually to the Vatican itself. But before his international mission began, Robert remained in the US for a time, pursuing advanced theological education. He obtained a license in canon law and a doctorate in theology from the Catholic Institute of Paris, a renowned center of scholastical learning, fluent in Spanish, English, and French, and with outgoing reputation for clarity of thought and humility of character. Father Prevost was now ready to step onto the world stage. After completing his theological training and receiving his ordination in 1982, Father Robert Francis Prevost responded to a divine call that would shape his life and legacy. He accepted the missionary assignment to Chiclayo, Peru, one of the most spirituality and economically challenging regions in Latin America. The vision was not one of comfort or prestige. It was one of conviction, humility, and deep love for the gospel. In 1985, Prevost arrived in Chiclayo, a bustling city in northern Peru that wrestled with poverty, social unrest, and spiritual hunger. The diocese of Chiclayo had been facing a shortage of priests, especially those who could offer not just sacraments but also liturgy and structural reform. Fluent in Spanish and equipped with theological knowledge and pastoral zeal, Father Prevost quickly became a beacon of hope. He joined the Augustinian mission team, serving in parishes, schools, and rural communities scattered across the region. His role included celebrating Mass, sharing confessions, organizing catechism classes, visiting the sick, and mentoring young seminarians. But what made Father Prevost stand out was not just his official duties, it was his lifestyle. He chose to live simply, often without running water or electricity, sharing meals with the poor and listening attentively to their stories. By the late 1980s, his commitment and impact had become so significant that the Vatican appointed him as the director of the Augustinian Seminary in Trujillo. His seminary trained young men discerning the priesthood in a turbulent era marked by the rise of the Chinese path, Sendero Luminoso, a violent Maoist insurgent group in Peru. Father Prevost, amidst political instability and danger, provided spiritual direction, academic guidance, and moral strength to seminarians. He didn't lead from a place of authority, but from a deep sense of fraternity. Many former seminarians recall his humility, washing their clouds, sharing bread, counseling them when political violence left families shattered. Under his leadership, the seminary flourished, becoming a place of intellectual formation, pastoral readiness, and resistance to fear. In recognition of his growing influence and leadership, Pope Francis appointed him apostolic administrator of Chiclayo in 2015 and later Bishop of Chiclayo. This role elevated Father Prevost to a formal leadership position over one of the most vital dioceses in Peru. He was consecrated as Archbishop Nicola Girasoli, the apostolic nuncio to Peru. As bishop, he launched programs to combat child hunger, expand literacy through Catholic schools, and restore damaged parish buildings. He also empowered lay ministers, especially women, to serve in leadership roles. He would often say, the church must work with the people, not about them. Robert Prevost's years in Peru were extensively documented by Catholic agencies and journalists. In 2016, the Catholic News Service published a series of photographs showing him walking through the slums of Chiclayo, barefoot, holding a child's hand, an image that moved millions. By the time he left Peru in 2014, after nearly 3 decades of missionary service, Father Prevost was considered a spiritual father of the now Peruvian church. Bishops, mayors, and thousands of lay people attended his farewell mass, held at the Cathedral of Chiclayo. He didn't just plant churches, he nurtured souls. He didn't just preach the gospel, he lived it. And long after he returned to Rome, the people of Peru continued to speak of him with reverence. After dedicating nearly 3 decades to missionary service in Peru, Robert Francis Prevost's pastoral wisdom and administrative acumen led to his call back to heart of the Catholic Church, the Vatican. In July 2014, Pope Francis appointed Bishop Prevost as Secretary of the Congregation for the Evangelization of People's Propaganda Fide. This department of the Roman Curia is charged with coordinating and supporting the Church's missionary activities worldwide, particularly in territories where the Church is still growing. Prevost's selection was noteworthy. An American-born Augustinian with extensive pastoral experience in Latin America, bringing a fresh perspective to the Vatican's missionary governance. His deep understanding of missionary challenges gained from decades in Peru equipped him with bridge Vatican policy with the realities faced by local churches. The congregation supervises missionary jurisdictions, the appointments of bishops in mission territories, and the distribution of financial aid to missions. As secretary, Prevost was the second highest official in the congregation, responsible for daily operations and implementing Pope Francis' vision for a more evangelizing, merciful church. In his new role, Cardinal Prevost managed complex relations with bishops, conferences, missionary religions, others, and Vatican departments. He oversaw the formation of clergy in mission territories, ensuring pastoral formation was both faithful to Catholic doctrine and sensitive to cultural diversity. At the 2015 Synod of the Family, he addressed challenges facing Catholic families and mission territories, advocating for compassionate pastoral care. He also played a part in the 2018 Synod on Youth, focusing on how to engage young people in evangelization using contemporary means, including digital media. On June 28, 2018, Pope Francis elevated Robert Prevost to the College of Cardinals, assigning him the title Cardinal Deacon of San Agostino, a church with historical ties to the Augustinian order. This honor recognized his missionary commitment and Vatican service. As a cardinal, Prevost joined the Pope's closest advisors, participating in consistories, advising on ecclesial matters, and holding the right to vote in a papal conclave until his 80th birthday. He became a visible symbol of the Pope's emphasis on mission and mercy, frequently speaking about the Church's call to serve the poor and foster unity among cultural diversity. In 2019, he traveled to countries like Bangladesh and Myanmar, supporting local Catholic communities facing ethical and religious tensions. He championed initiatives to develop online catechetical programs, social media engagement, and podcasts to reach youth and isolated communities. This fast-forward thinking approach aligned with Pope Francis' call for a church connected to contemporary realities. In February 2021, Pope Francis appointed Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost as prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, placing him at the helm of one of the most vital departments of Rome Curia, territories where he is less established. Prevost's appointment as prefect was a milestone both personally and institutionally. He became the first American to hold this prestigious position, a testament to his decades of missionary work and administrative expertise. The prefect's role is crucial because it involves directing the church's evangelization mission, ensuring new local churches grow with solid theological, pastoral, and cultural foundations. The congregation's remit covers Africa, Asia, Oceania, and parts of Latin America, regions marked by dynamic growth, but also complex socio-political challenges. From the outset, Cardinal Prevost articulated a clear vision for his leadership. He emphasized that evangelization is not merely about numerical growth, but about building communities rooted in mercy, justice, and fraternity. He often cited Pope Francis' message that the church must be a field hospital after battle, serving wounded humanity with compassion and hope. Cardinal Prevost's tenure considered with unprecedented global challenges, notably the COVID-19 pandemic. The congregation swiftly adapted its support mechanisms to ensure missionary efforts continued despite lockdowns and health crises. He spearheaded initiatives promoting digital evangelization, facilitating online pastoral training, and virtual prayer meetings, enabling isolated communities to remain connected. Moreover, the congregation actively engaged in advocacy for persecuted Christians, partnering with international organizations to raise awareness and provide humanitarian aid in conflict zones such as parts of the Middle East and Africa. Meanwhile, one of the greatest challenges Cardinal Prevost has faced in responding to the fast-paced evolution of global culture and communication. The rise of digital media, social networks, and instant communication has transformed how people access information, interact, and and express faith. Prevost recognized early that the church's evangelizing mission could not remain confined to traditional methods. To remain relevant and effective, the congregation under his leadership embraced digital evangelization, the use of social media platforms, podcasts, video content, and online catechists to reach a younger, tech-savvy generation. The shift was particularly crucial during the COVID-19 pandemic. He has partnered with international organizations to provide humanitarian aid, raise awareness, and lobby governments to safeguard the vulnerable communities. His speeches at the United Nations and other forums emphasize that evangelization must go hand in hand with promoting dignity and justice. Beyond spiritual formation, the congregation under Prevost has invested in social projects targeting education, healthcare, and sustainability development. By supporting schools, clinics, and community development programs, the church aims to address the holistic needs of people, especially the poor and marginalized. Cardinal Prevost's leadership style is marked by collaboration, humility, and pastoral sensitivity. He regularly consults with bishops, religious communities, and lay faithful worldwide to ensure policies and programs reflect local realities. As Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost continues to serve as prefect of the congregation for the evangelization of peoples, his vision for the church's missionary activities is both ambitious and deeply rooted in the evolving realities of the modern world. One of the cornerstone principles of Cardinal Prevost's vision is the call for synodality, a collaborative listening church where bishops, clergy, religious, and laity work together in discernment and decision-making, building on Pope Francis and Francis and synods. Prevost promotes inclusive consultation processes that involve voices from the grassroots level to the highest offices. Cardinal Prevost has become recognized as a transformational figure of religious tradition and innovation. His diocese pattern shares his spiritual depth and intellectual vigor, while his experience as Archbishop of Atlanta gave him first-hand insights into pastoral care in a multicultural context. His leadership style is marked by humility, inclusiveness, and profound commitment to the mission entrusted to him by the Holy See. Following the death of Pope Francis in April 2025, a conclave was convened, culminating in the election of Robert Francis Prevost as the 367th Pope of the Roman Catholic Church on May 8, 2025. He chose the name Leo, becoming the first American and the first Augustinian to ascend the papacy. His election was met with widespread acclaim, reflecting his reputation for humility and dedication to service. The inauguration ceremony in St. Peter's Square was attended by global leaders and thousands of faithful. In his initial days as Pope, Leo emphasized themes of peace, unity, and dialogue. He celebrated his first Mass as Pontiff in the Sistine Chapel, addressing issues such as social skepticism and the importance of faith in modern times. Continuing his commitment to inclusivity, Pope Leo XVI made significant appointments, including naming Bishop Michael Palm as the new Bishop of San Diego, California, from born in Darlan, Vietnam, had served as an auxiliary bishop in San Diego since 2023. On his accession, he is already making several initiatives. Pope Leo's papacy has been marked by efforts to bridge divides within the church and address global challenges. He has pledged to honor the church's traditions while addressing modern issues such as poverty alleviation and environmental protection. His commitment to unity and service over power has resonated with many as he continues to guide the church through contemporary challenges.
Peter, you have called me to carry the cross and to be blessed with that mission. I know I can rely on each and every one of you to walk with me as we continue as a church, as a community of friends of Jesus and believers, to announce the good news, to announce the gospel.
As the world witnessed the historic rise of Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost to the papacy, becoming Pope Leo XIV, countless voices from around the globe, those who knew him personally and worked closely with him, began to speak from the quiet halls of Augustinian monasteries
he once taught, and even to his own family, stories began to surface, stories of humility, quiet leadership, compassion, and deep spiritual wisdom. But who really is Pope Leo XIV beneath the White Castle? What do those closest to him, his Augustinian brothers, his old friends, former students, and even his own brother have to say? We shall listen to those voices, those memories, and those personal reflections that help us truly understand the man now called the Holy Father. Let's see what I have to say about Pope Leo XIV.
A little overwhelming. As you can see, I'm still a bit speechless. He's very warm, very inclusive, very intelligent.
It was so amazing to see him come out.
Yes, yeah, actually, when I get a chance to communicate with them, that will be hard to say Leo now.
No, it's still incredible. I was crying in the piazza, just overwhelmed with joy about, my friend's the Pope. The one you see is the one who he is. He does not put on airs, he does not put on a mask.
Yeah, for an American Pope for the first time, it's really, really crazy. We cried, we hugged, we laughed, and that's before we knew that the new Pope was coming in the U.S. And then when that happened, we cried again. Augustinian affiliates, and his brothers, his story, and he will be right here because he will be amazing.
It's a tremendous
But to him,
And so, from the quest of streets of Chicago to the sacred halls of the Vatican, the journey of Pope Leo XIV, born Robert Francis Prevost, has been one of service, sacrifice, and steadfast faith, shaped by the values of Augustinian order and the diverse communities he ministers to across continents. He stands as a bridge between cultures, generations, and traditions. Those who know him speak not of a man seeking greatness, but of a soul pursuing goodness through humility, listening, and a heart open to the cries of the church and the world. Whether as a missionary in Peru, a brother in an Augustinian community, or now as a shepherd of over 1 billion Catholics, Pope Leo XIV remains committed to the gospel call to walk with the pure, defend the truth, and build unity where the vision persists. As the church faces unprecedented challenges and calls for renewal, Pope Leo XIV carries forward not just the keys of Peter, but the quest strength of a man who has spent a lifetime working beside the people he now leads. Thanks for watching us today and for joining us on our journey of enlightenment. Morganable, your vehicle of enlightenment.